Come on in, welcome to my home. Today is our first official book club meeting. Hooray! We're going to talk about our two books, Talk Southern to Me and Embrace Your Southern Sugar, written by Julia Fowler. Before we really get into these books, doing a book club has been really exciting for me because I love to read, and if you want to keep up with what I'm reading, you might want to hop on to Patreon because I do talk about what books I am reading there, and we also handle some suggestions of books. But anyway, let's get back to our book club. So I think we need to know who she is first so that we can understand where these books come from. And she is Southern. I mean, that's the big thing about this, is you don't have to think about the fact that, was this a book written by somebody who isn't even from the South? She is. So she is a Gaffney, South Carolina native. She is an author, she is an actress, she is a dancer, she's a YouTuber, she is a screenwriter. You may have seen her in such things as Modern Family, Vegas, The Closer, Up All Night, Ugly Betty. There are lots of things that she's been in, and it's really cool. But there's also things like she's been in on Broadway. So that is also really cool. And, I mean, part of her story is once she graduated from college, she went to New York to make her way in Broadway. And then she went from Broadway to LA, where she's done things like she's even been a writer for the Netflix show Comfort. She understands the South, and that's really important when you're talking about a book that is about the South. Alright, let's talk Southern. Talk Southern to Me really is about all of those things that Southerners say, and the stories, they're basically essays that go along with it, and then at the end of each chapter there's a whole bunch of things that Southern people say. That leads us to a really cool moment with the book, because the book is made up into chapters that make sense. Because when you're chewing the fat, I don't know if how many of you know this, chewing the fat is gossiping. You're telling people stuff. And that is one of the things that Southerners like to do. They like to tell stories. They like to tell stories in a way which isn't mean, because there's lots of times that you want to say something, and as I've said before, one of the big things in the South is you can't really be mean. So if you're going to be mean, there are things that you can put into it that can make it sound less mean. But that's what's really interesting, because you don't have to be a Southerner to enjoy this book. If you're a Northerner, you're going to probably pick up a lot of things which you've heard people say, bless your heart, and you probably didn't know exactly what they meant. Unless you did, in which case, bless your heart. Because there's lots of ways that this book explains, it doesn't just give you the saying, it explains it a little bit more and puts it into context. And that's what I sort of did enjoy about this book, was the fact that it wasn't just a whole, here's a list of what Southern people say. No, it's here's a list of what Southern people say, how they say it, and why they say it. And that's what really got me into the book, was the fact that it was that why they say it. There's lots of stories with the essays that are in the book about how this came about, why somebody would possibly use that term towards you, and you might not be all that thrilled when you find out why they did it. But that's beside the point. We want to get on with the whole, is this a really good book for learning things about the South? Yeah, it is. It's a nice book that you can sit down there and read and spend some time with and get to know how the South sort of works and why people talk the way that they do. It talks about the Southern philosophy of life, the Southern marriage. You also have the Southern parenting. All of these things are written into this book, and they're explained really well, and once you read it, you're like, oh, that's really cool. I enjoyed reading about different things that I didn't know about. Some of them I did, because as I've said before, we here are like really more Southern than I even thought I was. So that made it more interesting. The one thing which is really true is, we have this myth about how Southerners are always nice. And for the most part, that myth is sort of true. But there are times when Southerners are not. They can show that Southern spirit, that Southern temper, and this book explains how that comes about and why you really don't want to be the one to experience it. I would say if you like to read essays about Southern things, you want to see some of the comments that people make and why they would make them, this really would be the book for you. In case you're wondering for some terms, if you're going to do something, you're fixin' to. Makes no mind to me. I don't care. There is a glossary at the end, which I think is what really set this book apart, was the fact that you can look back at it and say, hey, now I know what this means. I can have this interpreted to me. I think that you might like this book if you want to learn more things Southern. Embrace Your Southern Sugar. This is the book which really does tell you, hey, don't try to make yourself into something that you're not. This is how you can be totally yourself, and this one really works well for not just people who are Southern, but for people who are all different kinds of ways. Just embrace it. Be who you are. Own it. That's the big thing. Own the fact that, you're a football fanatic. You know that weddings cannot be planned on a Saturday in football season. That's just not going to happen. This can be really fun. In fact, of the two books, both books are good. I enjoyed this one a whole lot because I found part of myself in this book. I found part of the things of, this is why we do what we do. In the South, and this is one of the things which I've been guilty of, you can't just say hello. More along the lines of, how you doing, sweetie? My favorite part about this was the whole, when you have to say hello to somebody that you really don't like, was nice to see you again. As I've said before, and it's come up in other books, nice is not nice. No, nice is just mean. So if a Southerner tells you, you look nice, ooh, ouch, that's gotta hurt. This really is a fun book for you to enjoy, for you to look at some of the things where you wonder why Southern people do that. And this does it in a way which isn't just like, well, all Southern people are like that. No, everybody has their own little quirks and idioms. And I think that's what made this book really work, was the fact that the essays tell you some of the stories, they give you some of the reasoning behind it, and it's fun to see where you fall into the spectrum of, well, yeah, I do that myself. And that's what was really good about this, because yes, some of the things that are in there, I do. I 100% do. And I knew this going into it, so that made it a lot of fun. I think it's going to be one of those books where if you're looking for something which is going to tell a story, a continuing story, it doesn't. These are essays which could then stand alone. They're great things that you can tell other people. They're little pieces that you can give to somebody. And it's sort of like, if you ask an older person a question, they will usually answer it with a story. It's me. I'm older people. And that's okay. I can own up to it. Own up to it, enjoy it, embrace it. Embrace your Southern sugar. The title is wonderful. The whole concept of just embracing who you are is wonderful. So that's what makes this book really sort of fun. I can say that it does demonstrate all of those fun things that I think you're going to enjoy. I'd love to know what you thought about the two books down below in the comment section. And I can also announce what our next book is going to be. Our next book was suggested by Kathleen P., and the book is Miss Julia Speaks Her Mind, a novel. This should be a lot of fun. It is about a wonderful Southern woman and her unexpected changes that she goes through. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. It will come when we talk about this, it'll come out on the second Wednesday of March. The nice part about this, and what will make this one a little bit easier to talk about, is that instead of being a group of essays, this is a story. And from what I've been told, because I have not read it yet, it's supposed to be a really, really good story, and I think you will enjoy it. Now, if you have suggestions for books, or if you want to talk more about this book, we can talk about it down in the comments. I'd like to take this time to thank these wonderful people who allow me to read lots of books and tell them about them. I think it is a great thing to do for our first book book club. I hope that you enjoy this. This is a new format for me because I've never done a book club before. In fact, the last time that I did a book report, I was probably in 5th grade. Yeah, probably in 5th grade. And the interesting part about this is these books, which I chose, didn't really lend themselves to being a really easy book to talk about as a book report or a book review. But I do think that you might enjoy them. It's something that you could think about doing. Now, if you're interested in knowing a little bit more about Julia Fowler, she does have a YouTube channel.
Lord, last time I saw y'all, Jesus was a baby.
Well, I reckon so.
Who ate all the muscadine jelly?
She just did an announcement that said she is bringing the Southern Women's channel back. So that will be coming back really soon. In fact, I think there are some new videos up there right now. It is one of those really funny channels. And her humor goes into, you can see the book and her humor. It just works really well together because it's those little snippets of things where you find yourself laughing, and I did laugh a lot while I was watching her videos. I laughed while I was reading the books. If you want a good time, just enjoy yourself, try these 2 books. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope I get to see you again the next time you stop by.